Chelsea are a really good team. The quality of the players they've got are excellent. So it was going to be a big job to get a result, but we done it today.
When you give goals away to begin the game and you give good teams confidence, you end up with results like this. And credit to Everton in terms of the result and their performance. But from our standards, that's not good enough. I know the reality of where I'm at and where we're at a club in terms of what we can achieve. We've played 10 games with my time at this club in the Premier League. We have 17 points from those 10 games. We're not in as bad a place as what the noise suggests, but we need to come out of it very, very quickly.
For me, it was really good. I was looking for this moment. I was working hard to get these chances and to finish the chances, and I'm just amazed.
And I noticed, particularly after your second goal, the teammates' reaction, how pleased they were for you.
You can see when I arrived in the changing room, they were all screaming and shouting, so it's really good.
Is this the best? I felt it was the day at Hill Dickinson.
Absolutely the best. From the sort of minute one, I think we gave them something to believe in. We pressed Chelsea hard. I've got to say the crowd were fantastic tonight. It was more reminiscent of Goodison than probably any other game we've had here this season.
Tell us how that happened then.
Forget about systems or anything like that. There was only one team that wanted to win that game today, and it was Everton, from start to finish. With their attitude, their application, their organisation, everything about Everton was so impressive. They won every single 50-50 ball, they won every second ball, and they just went after Chelsea. Their pressing, I thought, was superb, gave them no time at all to dwell on the ball and to play how they perhaps wanted to play. That was a start to say, well, OK, that's what we want you to do. We want you to kick it long. Beto, I thought, give the two centre-halves a terrible evening in terms of that. Pressing, being aggressive, being horrible to play against. Same thing again. I mean, Sanchez, say what you want about him, he had a nightmare evening. Look at the reaction of the Everton players to get back into the box and defend. And when that ball comes in there's 7v2. 7 defenders, so in reality there wasn't really any way through for Chelsea to create anything. They were just absolutely superb again. Same thing again. Look at the aggression, and then the response from David Moyes: get off the ball, you know. And if you're going to get it, I'm going to make it really, really difficult for you. And Beto did that. The quality on the ball was superb. Garner, I thought, was absolutely outstanding. He ran the show. The way to pass for that ball into Beto, and then such a clever finish. He deserved that. Same thing again. Look at the Everton players getting back. Look how much it means to them to get back and protect what they've got. There's just no way through. No way through whatsoever. If you go past one, Garner's coming to snap into you again. And Jai, Drewsbury Hall, chasing, pressing.
The so-called flair play.
Absolutely, and every single player put a shift in, and this was the second goal. Idrissa Gueye wins the ball up, and I mentioned Beto in terms of how his performance was. He makes a clever run, and I also mentioned Sancho in the Chelsea goal. I had an absolute nightmare, and that was straight at him. Should have done a lot better, but what a job this guy's doing, David Moyes. You can just tell that his players are loving what he's given them and telling them to do, and it's working for them. And there's the stats there. But if you go right throughout them, Everton were better in everything. But the one I want to point out to you is the distance covered. Because Everton have ran more than Chelsea today. But a staggering stat that we found out is every Premier League game this season, Chelsea have been outrun by the opposition. Every Premier League game.
And we've had that double and triple checked. Because
I just found it hard to believe that.
I thought, really?
In every single game, home and away, Chelsea have played the opposition who've outran them. What does that tell you?
The other thing in that in that graphic is the difference in experience as well. Now, that's a 5-year average difference between Everton and Chelsea. You look at Chelsea, don't you, and think they could do with a couple of 30-year-olds, don't you?
Yeah, they could. They've got a lot of young players, and they are very inexperienced, and the team does change quite a bit as well. So I don't think they're getting that togetherness on the pitch, if you like. And so yeah, the more you change, the young players, they don't get a run of games and they don't compete.
Alan said James Garner was man of the match. He came through at Manchester United, where you probably knew him. He didn't maybe get a fair crack of the whip at Manchester United. He is flourishing.
He is, and I think he's been outstanding, not just this season, but last season as well, and obviously gets his call up to the England squad, and it's great for Everton that he's obviously recently just signed a new contract as well, which for Everton to tie him down is massive. So I actually did try and sign him as well for when I was Derby County manager. And,
Well, he said no, did he?
He went to Forest, yeah.
Makes it even worse from a Derby point of view. I've had several texts this evening saying we hope Joe Hart's on match. There's nothing against you two, but we hope Joe Hart's on match of the day. He's on with Kelly tomorrow, so he'll probably do his analysis of Sanchez then. But at the other end of the pitch, Pickford was sublime, wasn't he?
He was, and I think he's been incredible for many years now, and not just for Everton but for England. And the saves he's making is unreal.
Yeah.
You know, it's
winning them points, isn't it?
It's winning them massive points. And you look at the save here, his reactions. He goes for the first one, and to get up and that quick, and ends up Fernandes is 6 yards out, and he absolutely blasted. And he gets up and he gets a good hand on it. That is an incredible save. And then these both saves now, the second save we see now is both at 1-0, so they're really important saves. And this is brave as well. You see the forward coming in, and he's diving where the feet are. He's making so many good saves and winning Everton so many points. And brilliant. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. I really don't. We
were just saying, weren't we, before we came on air, it feels like we've all seen him make more spectacular saves than any other Premier League goalkeeper this season, doesn't it?
I mean, the one at Newcastle he made was probably the save of the season, and that one again today, the reaction was just incredible, and to get it over the bar, it was brilliant save. He's made so many.
Where does Chelsea go now?
Well, I keep going back to the point in terms of they haven't got a top-class goalkeeper and they haven't got a top-class centre-half, despite the money that they've spent. And until they get that, they're not going to compete, I don't think, where they want to be.
I still think the forward as well. I know Joe Pedro's done well, but I think if you want to go and challenge for the big trophies, then you need that centre forward who's going to inspire you.
But those points from you, so centre forward, centre half, and goalkeeper, that involves Liam Rossini can be under pressure, players can be criticised, but you're basically asking the club to change its model, aren't you? Because it goes back to the experience point. You're not asking them to sign a 20-year-old, you're asking them to sign a 27, 28-year-old. Is that what you're both saying?
They think that's the right way, to buy young and maybe to sell on in years to come and to give them the long contracts. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I just think if you want to be successful, you want to win trophies. Every successful team has got good, experienced players in the squad, and if you want to go down this model of buying young players, selling them, bringing more young players in and trying to develop them, then I think it's going to be very, very difficult. I
know we say this every time we talk Chelsea, but obviously Liam Rossini was part of your staff. Do you think he's getting a bit of an unfair deal from everybody at the moment? There's an awful lot of attention on him, his behaviour, his words. Do you think he's being unfairly singled out?
I do, and I think he has been from the moment he went in, really. And listen, Liam knows himself that he'll get judged on results, and I think he started really well. They've hit a bad run of form over the last couple of weeks, but he needs to figure out a way to get out of it. And obviously, I've said it before, I know he's a fantastic coach, but it's going to take time.
You're happy with that? The atmosphere, the game plan, the organisation, the intensity, the cackle. It was like Goodison. I said to the players, it was like Goodison Park.
Yeah, well, the old days, wasn't it, when we used to get some great victories and the crowd was always behind us at Goodison. But I have to say, tonight was probably the best we've had inside the stadium. But maybe the best the supporters have seen as well as far as team performance. I thought the team played really well tonight from the start right through. We've done a really, really good job and deserved our victory.
Liam, would it be fair to say Everton just had more intensity, they looked more organised, they had more spirit, had more energy about them tonight?
Yeah, goals give you energy, and at the moment we are gifting goals away. We're gifting goals away to poor goals. When we started the game edgy, first 10-15 minutes, a few cheap giveaways, and then we play our way into the game. And it seems to be happening too often the last week, where we've given really, really cheap goals away, and what that does gets the crowd, the energy of the opposition, their confidence goes up, and in the end, Everton deserved the victory, and it's something that we need to improve very, very quickly.
I've been saying for a while, if we want to be successful, we're probably going to have to win a couple of these big games in the run-in and the way to the end of the season, and certainly today was one of them.
I'm putting you well and truly in the mix. for a top 5 finish at this moment in time. You're in the mix, aren't you?
I think you're getting carried away a little bit, but
league tables don't lie.
No, they don't lie, and certainly don't lie at this time of the year. But look, if you could give me a European spot, I would be shaking your hand for whatever that is and whatever position it might be. I really would be. It'd be a big step up from where the club's been in certainly in the last few years, and I think the supporters here, it would be great to get them back into Europe if that was possible.
We're a point away from the Champions League, so I'm learning about this club. It's a massive club. There's been a lot of noise, a lot of negative noise about, rightfully so, our performances in the last week. We've had 10 games in the league together as a group. We've got 17 points. I think we're 4th in my time. So we have to forget the noise. We have to keep our confidence and our composure. And the international break probably has come at a good time for us to restock, re-energise ourselves and go again for a really important run-in.
Is emotion taking over as well? Emotion, frustration, mental fatigue. We saw at half-time the reaction because things weren't going your way.
Yeah, the lads want to do really, really well. We want to give everything. I want to give everything to the club. And we are a young group. We are emotional, but it's out of wanting to do really, really well for the team and for the club. It's been a really testing week, physically, psychologically, and it's one we haven't done well enough in, and we have to make sure we put that right in the running.
Well, we'll come back to Liam Rosenior's comments, but just a quick word on Everton first of all, Phil. They find themselves in 8th place. They're only 3 points off 5th. We put the line, as always, at 4th because that's officially how many Premier League teams will be going in the Champions League. It's likely to go down to 5th. And Everton right in the mix, with Liverpool up next at Hill Dickinson Stadium. That's their next home fixture. Yeah, but again, even if they got the result they want and managed to beat Liverpool, there's still obviously 6 games after that, and we've shown how tight the table is, so I'm going to stick with my old manager, David Moyes, and just play things down a little bit. It'd be fantastic to see Everton back in Europe. And I think that's what the main goal is. What competition? Obviously, you always want to aim for the highest possible one, but I think most realistic Evertonians will take pretty much any place in Europe. Whereas for Chelsea, the target would very explicitly be for Champions League football next season. Yeah. And they find themselves only a point behind Liverpool and only 3 points behind Aston Villa if it were to be 4 teams in the Champions League. But Liam Rosenior said they are a young, very emotional squad. That's what Chelsea have chosen to build, but what kind of difficulties does it bring with it, do you think? Do you know what it brings? It brings that inconsistency. It brings that inconsistency. I've said before, they're not a million miles away, this Chelsea team. It's just the little bumps in the road and the inconsistency at this moment in time. For example, you cast your mind back to the Villa game, they get a great result, and then the next game they lose against Newcastle. That kind of inconsistency needs to try and iron out. But I agree with what I said at the end. You know, it's been a tough week. It's been a tough couple of weeks. He'll find a lot out about his squad. I think the international break has come probably at a good time for him. But then obviously you need to look at the table and go, OK, we got away with one today. Liverpool lost. We're 1 point away from Champions League qualification. So there's almost, as well as you can't accept the result and the performance today, there's also a call for just calm. You know, you're 1 point away. It's not all doom and gloom. We've been getting the thoughts of both sets of supporters via the Finalysis app to try and work out what's gone well, what hasn't gone well. Beto, unsurprisingly, with 2 goals and an assist, tops the Everton ratings with 89. Jordan Pickford, big couple of saves from him on 84. James Garner with the assist to that great ball through for Beto for his opening goal, wasn't it? 83 for him, and David Moyes with 89, level with Beto. What is less, or what fans are less impressed with, have been some of the Chelsea players. So Estevao with 69, Enzo with 30, Cole Palmer with 30, and Liam Rosenior with just 15. I mean, he's pointed out himself that over his time as Chelsea manager, they've had the 4th best points return of any team in the Premier League. So why is the approval rating, why is the opinion of fans so low, do you think? Because of this moment. You know, because of the moment they're in at this moment in time, and the scrutiny is on, and obviously the results have not been great. I'm sure when he first came and he was getting the wins, he's getting pats on the back. So it's important to not be too high at times and not be too low. It's like to have a balance. But there's no surprise. Obviously, off the back of a result today, Everton were fantastic today. But Chelsea were way below par, way below the levels that they expected So that's no surprise in my eyes.
And particularly because it comes off the back of what Liam Rosenior described as a really, really difficult week. In fact, it's been a really difficult 10 days with three defeats by 3 goals or more, and the 1-0 defeat by Newcastle. Obviously, this is Paris Saint-Germain. These are the European champions that are inflicting a couple of those heavy defeats. But it just, as you said, creates this atmosphere around the club of negativity, even if results elsewhere have been all right.
But that's what comes with being at a big club. That's what comes with being at a club like Chelsea. Like, when I was there, it was the same. You know, in good moments, it's fantastic. In bad moments, the light's on you. And you just have to accept that as the manager is obviously new, young manager, given a great opportunity, which is obviously great to see, and players that are inexperienced somewhat. And I've said there's also an element of patience with this young squad. We can't keep saying that, but at the minute, they've not got the experience that, for example, the PSG team has. So you're going to get these wobbles, you're going to get these inconsistencies, and that's going to be the frustration for the Chelsea fans and for Chelsea in general. He needs to try and iron that out and get the consistency levels at a level where they obviously can compete, but I don't see him being too far away.
I mean, today it wasn't as though there were loads of chances created, but over the last 3 games, and we made this point with Leeds, where it was, 56 shots without scoring a goal. Chelsea are over 50 shots in the last 3 games without managing to score a goal. So there might be an issue there that needs to be addressed. But they've got the game against Port Vale coming up in the FA Cup. Then they've got Manchester City and Manchester United, both at home in the Premier League. After that, is that somewhat of a mixed blessing, the fact that they've got these big games at home?
Yeah, but you relish the big games. You relish the big games. And these are the games that you can make a statement, and these are the games that you can switch that mentality. Not mentality, the noise, for example. I want to dampen down the noise at this moment in time. But these are games that you should relish. Obviously, the FA Cup's important.
Well, what do you think when you look at this run of fixtures? Obviously, there's those really 2 tricky fixtures. Brighton, obviously, are going to be a tough opponent. They've beaten Liverpool today, Chelsea's Champions League rivals, by 2-1. Then it's Nottingham Forest fighting for their lives at the bottom of the table. They take on Liverpool, which could be a significant result in terms of who finishes in the Champions League place. Spurs, second to last game of the season, and then Sunderland on the final day.
I don't think you can look past, obviously, the Port Vale game they need to figure out. I don't think you can look past the 2 Manchester teams. I think they need to survive those 2. They need to come out of that with, it can't be 3 goals against, no goals going forward. There needs to be some progression. You're not sure what Man City team you're going to get. Man U obviously in pretty decent form at the moment. And then, as you said, none of those games are easy for totally different reasons. But your Chelsea Football Club, you spent a lot of money. You have got a good squad. There's a few injuries and stuff there. They just need to find that bit of confidence. They hopefully play well against Port Vale, go into the Man City game again, put on a good display, and before you know it, they're probably looking down rather than looking up. But again, it's going to be a tough little start to April. But again, that's where Chelsea want to be. Chelsea want to be competing for those Champions League spots. They could have been worse off. If Man U would have obviously won, they'd have been 4 points behind, and then it's an even worse situation to be in. But as it stands, 1 point's nothing, and it's still in their own hands.
And these are the pressures, because we talked about the end of last season, and we said, with a few games to go, we're saying they need to qualify for Champions League, and they need to win the Europa Conference League Cup. And if they didn't do any of them 2, it's been a bad season. They managed to do the 2, so it ended up being a good season. And this is the pressure. The business end of the season, they're expected to be in the Champions League positions, and they have these games to do it. And that's the pressure which comes with being at Chelsea. And like I said, the FA Cup is vitally important as well. So there's still plenty to play for.
Gary, Phil, thank you very much for your company. You had your work cut out with that second game. You handled it beautifully. This is what happens when you get 2 former England defenders in. You get very defensive performances in the second game in particular. But a big win for Everton against Chelsea. It has increased the pressure on Liam Rosenior and Chelsea as they head towards the latter stages of the season after the international break. But there's another huge day of football to come, live for you on Sky Sports tomorrow.
Brilliant for Everton, but let's get to that in a moment. Chelsea's Premier League results under Liam Rosenior there. They've lost back-to-back games. They've lost 4 games in all competitions in a row, their worst run of the season. It's the first time in about 3 years that's happened. How damaging is this for Chelsea, especially in that chase for Champions League football, Glenn?
Well, it's damaging because it's a pattern. 4 games now with Europe as well. They've had some tough games, but it's a pattern. And when you get into a negative pattern, that's awful. They've got a couple of real tough fixtures as well. They've got the 2 Manchester teams to play next, so that's going to be not an easy flight. But at the end of the day, there's something wrong there. I mean, their start off today was just so poor. They looked fragile. They looked like they were doubting themselves. Defensively, it was almost like defensive suicidal football. They gave so many chances away, and they were so lacklustre in the way they started the game. You know, Everton, you've got to give them loads of credit because they played exceedingly well. They outgunned them in every single department of the pitch, and they deserved their win. And some of the finishing was fantastic. But Chelsea, my word, Liam was honest in his appraisal after the game and his interview there. He was really honest, but I think he's going to have to be honest with his players as well come Monday.
Yeah, exactly what you said was echoed by him, saying that they were gifting goals and it started the game very, very edgy. Everton took full advantage, and this result for them is their biggest win over Chelsea in the Premier League era, their biggest win since 1987. What a day for them.
Brilliant day and a brilliant performance. I mean, Everton did everything right, but it did surprise me, Glenn's touched on it a bit, the manner at which Chelsea started the game. You cannot go to Everton. It used to be Goodison Park, now it's Hill Dickinson Stadium, and start by allowing Everton to pressure. And Everton grew into the game, and this was a moment of real quality. James Garner, who was outstanding again, rightly just called up to the England squad, providing this beautifully weighted pass. Great run from Beto, wonderfully timed, good instincts of where to run, and a really cute finish as well on top of it. But this was probably just as Chelsea were just starting to grow into the game. So it actually hurt Chelsea, the timing of this goal, because they'd started so poorly. Everton had got the crowd behind them, playing the intense style of football they wanted to play. And then as Chelsea worked up the pitch, they capitalised with that moment's quality.
They led 1-0 at half-time, and then we expected Chelsea to be better in the second half, but they give the ball away here, and Garner takes full advantage and finds Beto again.
It's a sloppy bit of play. Santos gives the ball away. Fofana, I don't know what he's doing there as a defender. You've got to track the run. Beto, they pinch the ball there. They're wide open, Chelsea. But Fofana, for some reason, just hesitates and stops. He's got to stay with the run. And he just hesitates for some reason. There's no danger behind him. There's not a midfield player breaking in. And Sanchez, you can't really blame Sanchez. He's a little bit unlucky. If it hits him on a knee or a shin, it flies out of the goal. It's hit him on a soft part of the body and gone through his legs, and he's in the back of the net. And he's sort of cursing himself in many ways. And that's the bad luck he's had at the moment, Sanchez, in the last few weeks.
Beto, player of the match for those 2 goals he's braced today, but this was probably the best goal of the day.
Certainly was. Iliman Ndiaye getting to show what he's capable of. He is an incredibly talented and gifted footballer. Very simple in its production. Long ball up. Beto wins a great header against centre-halves that he physically dominated all day. One flick on, and Everton's best players inside the penalty area, twisting and turning, and no one can get near him. It was just a matter of could he finish, and why ever did he? Right in that top corner. Keeper had no chance, and you could see the enjoyment on his face and the enjoyment that David Moyes had as well. He knew that meant the game was wrapped up, dead and buried.
Yeah, that's why they call him Skilly Man.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Absolutely beautiful finish for him there. Major day for Everton as well. That saw them move just 2 points behind Chelsea in the table and 3 behind their crosstown. So at the double, Garner into the England team. And the numbers that we're just hearing, 6 Premier League assists for the season. He had 4 in his entire Premier League career before that. Remarkable.
Yeah, like I've been one of his biggest fans. Certainly this season, certainly trying to let everybody know the form he's in and that he should be getting a call up for the national team. He's been playing. What you've seen tonight, he's been doing that consistently all season long. I think when you first break into a team, you will have games where you're outstanding, but as a young man, as you're developing, you'll go up and down with your performances. His levels have been of the highest quality consistently all season now, and that's why Thomas Tuchel's included him in the England squad, because of performances like that. He never lets the team down. He is consistently defending well. He gets about the pitch. He sets an example for everyone else. But he's also added numbers. He's added game-defining moments to his performances, like he did for that first goal. The weighted pass was just outstanding, Glenn, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah. And it's hard to get that ball in because it's not on an angle. It's a straight run-ish on a straight ball. They're the ones that are really difficult. Yeah, he gets a little bit of time, but his first touch there takes him forward. Now, that ball there has to be perfect. It's also so good that it sucked the keeper out. Sanchez thinks he can get there as well. It's exquisite ball. I mean, we can look at what Chelsea didn't do and the space that they've given it, but I'd rather look at the creativity. Yeah, they were poor all day with the way they defended Chelsea. But this ball here, this movement from Beto is top-notch. He's drawn him in and suddenly he's off, and he's just hoping that his midfield partner can actually find him, because he got goal side of Fofana. And the finish is beautiful.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's a terrific finish. He uses the ball, adds a bit of spin, just guides it over the goalkeeper and makes sure he gets out of the way of a good clattering. But it was just interesting to hear them talking that Beto's been demanding more of those passes from the likes of James Garner. It's where Beto is at his best. He's not the best holding the ball up, bringing other people into play. Where he is good is using his physicality, bullying centre-halves like he did this evening, and making runs through towards the opposition's goal. And if you've got people behind, like Dewsbury Hall and James Garner, showing that they've got that capability with the passing range today, then Beto gets chances, and he looked like a really good centre-forward tonight.
That's what you have with a striker and a midfield player that can hit passes and hurt you and hit you in there. And that was a pass that took the whole team out with one pass. And that's the thing that they'll work on that now in training, and they'll do things where in games it'll be instinctively, he'll know that he can put a ball in there, so he'll make even more movement, and that's how you elevate yourself as a midfield player and a striker. You get that little feel for them, don't you? And yet every team's got that sort of partnership. Back in the day, Steven Gerrard and Michael Owen, they had it in abundance. You know, you can go through lots of different teams like that, but they have got something now to really grasp and grow as a couple, a midfield player and a striker.
So it was 1-0, and that's the goal that separated the two teams at half-time. We expected an improved second half from Chelsea, but those defensive mistakes once again caught them out. Perhaps Robert Sanchez more guilty than anyone here. Let's look at how Everton win the ball back.
But it's sloppy play again from Santos. He passes the ball in between two players in space. Everton, great. They nick the ball, they pinch it. Beto's confident. He makes a lovely little blindside run. They get a bit of good fortune off Sanchez. But we've highlighted here, there's the sloppy pass. That's a real poor pass. And it's not just Santos. Chelsea players have been doing it all day. But what we do here, we don't understand where Fofana. Look, we just stopped it there. There's the run from Beto. Now, he's got to track him on a parallel run. If he does that, he gets a block in or he doesn't get his shot, Beto. For whatever reason, Fofana stops and hesitates. And we see it from behind the goal, Oz.
Yeah, it was a strange decision. Once he'd committed to drop a couple of yards on Beto, he had to complete it. He can't then decide to stop, because you saw Beto had to wait for the ball. Beto had actually made his run probably a second too early, and he had to wait for the ball to catch up with him. If that's the case at the top end of the field, top-class defenders will deny you an opportunity, because 1 second makes a huge difference at this level in the Premier League especially. And Fofana allowed him a second to just compose himself, let the ball catch up to him and get a shot. It's tough that the ball went through the goalkeeper's legs. Sometimes, as we were saying, they'll go in your favour, they won't. But the defending from Chelsea and the sloppiness in possession was really surprising.
It's not by chance. We analysed it at half-time. Fofana, in the first couple of minutes, give a ball away. Then he goes past the ball, and really, Everton might have scored then. So he set his tone in his game defensively really poorly. That's not a standard you can have if you're a Chelsea player. And he's got to really look at himself and his overall performance, because that's the sort of thing that makes you hesitate. If you're not in sync, if you're not defending correctly from the first minute, it sets a pattern for the rest of the game, and that's how he played.
You talked about the standard of defending. What about the standard of goalkeeping?
In the sense of the goalkeeper there, I just think he's a bit unlucky there. That hits a firm part of the body, like a knee or an ankle, it spins away and everyone goes, oh, what a good save, he's blocked it. It's hit a softer part and it's just gone over the line. I can't really say that I wouldn't blame him there. I think he's been very unlucky, and he's looking at himself saying, no, just my luck at the moment, you know. Yeah. He made a bigger mistake, obviously, in the first half when they got away with one. They should have actually scored, Everton, off his mistake.
A really good goal from Everton's point of view. Yes, we'll look at Chelsea, we'll look at the way they're defending, but Everton on the front foot, noticing a sloppy pass in midfield, driving forward. They had 5 bodies attacking the penalty area in that moment, just in transition. And yes, it was a bit of fortune with the way it came about, but positive play from Everton again this evening.
Well, if that was a good goal, how do you rate this one? Iliman Ndiaye for the third.
Well, we talk about things being back in the game that we haven't seen for a long time. Well, this is direct football. Long ball up, centre forward going for a challenge, winning it, and within that one moment, you've got your best and most talented player in possession of the ball inside the opposition's penalty area, and he did the damage. But Glenn, it's just so different now, isn't it, this defender?
Well, so many teams, we've just put where the start position, they know they're going to hit a long ball, and their start position, Chelsea's back four, is far too deep. You've got to be at the highest point to try and win the header. This is a wonderful finish. But Chelsea, again, defensively, there's no leadership there. They've got to be much higher up the pitch so that they can attempt to win that first flick on. And then afterwards, they don't cover round on the cover. But Ndiaye's finish, look at this from behind. It's a beautiful, beautiful goal. I mean, we talk about top bins. There's no keeper in the world going to save that. That is absolutely world class. But again, Chelsea have got to look at themselves. I think in the modern day game, so many teams play little goal kicks in the 6-yard box.
Yeah.
The full-backs are up then, pushing up, pressing, and the two centre-backs are standing there with one striker going, oh, well, the ball will come up in a minute. Suddenly, as a long goal kick, as you said, a bit more direct, the full-backs have to come back round and be square with the centre-backs. They should be high. No, they've gone asleep. They've gone, oh, we'll drop back here. And it's something that's gone out of the game in many ways. But Everton, we said before the game, they've got a balance between going direct and playing through the lines as well. They got it absolutely perfect today, Everton, their balance.
So you asked me before the game, what was I looking forward to? And we were talking about Chelsea's defence and the lack of physicality. I would say just get the ball up to Beto against those two centre-halves and he'll cause all sorts of damage. He'll physically dominate them in that area. And it proved to be the case. One simple long ball, Chelsea can't defend it properly. I do also think that they got confused about which centre-half should have gone from the ball because of where they were on the pitch. There were so many things that Chelsea got wrong, but Everton got it right. They knew the moments in the game. They used their positivity. They used their strength. And they got the best player inside the penalty area on the ball because of it. And, as I just said, what a terrific finish.
And that's put Everton right in the conversation for the European places. They're just 2 points behind Chelsea. But given what happened to Liverpool earlier on, this was an opportunity wasted for Chelsea. It's like nobody wants to take control of that Champions League race.
It's incredible, isn't it? Even Aston Villa had a bit of a slide. Manchester United, you thought were on this win and run under Michael Carrick, started drawing a few games and things not always going in their favour. So you just felt that the writing was on the wall for Chelsea, especially after the start that Liam Rosenior had at the club, but they're just stumbling at the moment, Glenn.
They are stumbling, but that one there away from home at Villa, 4-1, you know, they've got capabilities of actually performing at a very, very high level, but they can't get that consistency at the moment, particularly on the defensive side of the game. There's a lot of work. Liam Rosenior has changed the back two or the back three so many times, and it's not for injury. And I always think if you've got a solid centre-backs, two centre-backs, or if you're going to play a back three, if they play consistently together, you become a unit. You become a unit within the team unit, and you become so tight, and you trust each other, and you play off each other, and you get instincts of when he's going to go and defend, when I can cover. That's not happening with Chelsea. They're changing so many times, you don't get that continuity at all, and there's not that feeling. They feel fragile. They look fragile. They certainly started today very fragile as a team defensively.
Yeah, especially in that back line where they need to, play together regularly to build up that understanding. Just in terms of Chelsea and potentially missing out on Champions League, because obviously that's what they are fighting for. How much will that affect Rosenior and his future?
Well, Chelsea expect to finish in the Champions League. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they have changed manager. It's not always easy to go into a new team and get the results that you want, but Chelsea, that's the type of environment Chelsea is. They expect results immediately. There is a lot of pressure on him to finish in them Champions League places. Maybe more so because teams have stumbled around. If teams are winning above you and you'd say, look, it was always going to be tough for them to make that Champions League, there might be a bit of forgiveness, but every other team above them is losing and they're not taking advantage. Every team is just falling over each other to not run away in the Champions League position. No one's really making a huge claim for it at the moment, which is a surprise. So that adds more pressure. So when you look at the end of the season, I'm sure that'll be taken into account.
I think you're right. I think there's an inconsistency of a lot of them teams going for that position. But I think it's time for Chelsea not to look outward, to look within themselves. They've got to look within themselves and say, these performances are nowhere near good enough. I saw them. I covered the game in Paris Saint-Germain. They were brilliant for 60 minutes, and they were going toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in Europe. And then suddenly, it fell apart. They just fell apart in the second half. A little bit how they started today. And they have these moments, and they haven't got that consistency. They haven't got that experience. They miss Reece James in there today. There was no one in the hub of that team pulling people about, playing well himself, but actually pulling it and saying, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Giving the ball away like you've done. Sanchez, you haven't learned from last week. You can't take that risk. Why you're too easy-osy? You're the last man on the ball. They're the sort of things you need a player, but they haven't got that experience there for somebody to dig them out whilst they're on the pitch when it's needed. And that's why you're seeing this. They've got to look really within themselves and to improve the performances and then get the results.
Yeah, and I think even more difficult now for them, given how close it is there in that race for the top 5, is the next.
It's not going to be easy, is it? I mean, United are a different United than when they started the season. City are City. They're still going to be fighting for the league, and on their day they can tear you apart. I think it'll be a wonderful game. I've got to say, there's a lot of talent on the pitch when them two teams are going to play. But yeah, they're tough fixtures.